Welcome to Ecom Cowboy. This is D2C's daily show. It is Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. We are coming to you live from an undisclosed location in beautiful Austin, Texas. It feels wonderful outside. If your ROAS is down, don't be concerned. The internet is open and free, and good news for you, we've got answers for you today. David Herman joins the show, media buyer Mount Rushmore. We also have a great discussion to be had. Is SaaS dying or just getting exponentially cheaper? Dave Stickland of Popsmith lets us know how to succeed in D2C. Guess what? It's not by selling the best product. It's by selling bougie products. We've got a great show for you today. And as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, Colin Doherty. Colin, get in here.
What's up?
Welcome, sir. Producer Carson with us as well. I can hear him right now, but I'm glad that you are here. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing even better now that you are with us. A great discussion was had on Twitter and is continuing. And I think a really good signal came to us from Apple yesterday. The question is SaaS dying or is it just getting cheaper by the minute? My take, SaaS isn't dying, but perhaps its pricing power is being changed very quickly. What happens to all of our friends that help us scale brands to the moon in the SaaS ecospace when building becomes easier and features, exclusive features, stop being so scarce? There was a great tweet, I know you saw this, from Cody Schneider yesterday, which I found to be a little, perhaps an extreme case study of what could happen. He says, had dinner with the engineer lead at a startup last night, told us their SaaS vendor tried to double the price from $70K a year to $170K a year. That's a lot. CTO was in a Slack on a call. I think we can have Claude write this for us. 3-week sprint, cloned, replaced the vendor, told the sales org, we got it. We can solve this ourselves now. I don't think that this is going to be a repeatable case for many of us, but I do find it to be interesting nonetheless. Colin, what's your take on this at first read?
For sure. This is where it's going. I talked to an agency owner this morning who is actively evaluating one of their SaaS features, who they're charging them tens of thousands of dollars every single month. And I talked with this agency owner who's pretty savvy as far as, Claude coding is concerned. And he was like, I just think we're going to build this now. And so they're doing one of these sprints. And after interacting with that tweet last night, I interacted with an agency owner who is doing the exact same thing, because sometimes these numbers just don't make sense anymore. And if you just have a little bit of coding savvy, the ability to go through all of these things and kind of do just a little like 3 to 4 week sprint, like Cody said, you can build something pretty feasible as long as you're not trying to ask too many features.
That to me is shocking. And it's primarily shocking because let's just say, even as, let's say I'm brand side or I'm agency side and I'm experiencing a pain point like this. I know there's capabilities out there. Do I have that capability? I don't think so. Not right now to do it myself, nor do I trust myself to wade into that whole experience and build a workable, repeatable, pressure-tested replacement for SaaS tools and partners that have helped me grow. It makes me nervous. It would make me nervous to do such an undertaking. I know AI is compressing time to build, feature differentiation, obviously switching costs. All those things are being compressed by AI's capabilities. And really, perhaps what happens is that the middle of the SaaS ecosystem, so to speak, the middle being not the cheapest, not the best, not the highest with the brand and the largest capabilities and teams. Perhaps the middle gets annihilated the most. I wonder what could happen with all of those who are in our space and in our industry. What could they do to keep the barbarians at the gate, so to speak, who are just going to go and try and build their own thing? I don't know if it's an additional service layer. I don't know what other features and capabilities could be added on top. Where do you see this? Who do you see this in our space getting affected most, Colin? Is it top? Is it bottom? Is it middle?
Yeah, it's probably that middle that doesn't really know where they want to be, or do they want to be a bottom tier or a top tier? And I think you sprinkled on it really well is the ability to have that cushion and that safety cushion is probably going to be a service offering that is layered on top of everything else. Because if it's just, hey, you pay this amount and you have to do everything, that's a really rough ask at the end of the day if that number starts to trickle up pretty high. So if there's a person that you're also getting for this and that's looped into everything else that you're being charged, I think that's more of a better. It's easier to swallow at that point.
Matab from Twitter, the ultimate big brain of our space. I think he had something to say that was very interesting. I know we're showing Jess's original tweet here, my response, and then Matab's. I'm going to read for you his response here. I think SaaS gets exponentially cheaper every year because the technical barriers are lower and lower. There was a huge first mover advantage that is now gone, i.e. Yotpo was charging people 5 figures a month for reviews, but Judge Me does it for $10 or so. Most software is a commodity, his take, unless it's infrastructure that gets woven into the fabric of your company. I think this is a key point here. Once software becomes woven into the infrastructure of your company, to me, I'm not going to take the risk of getting rid of it. And I do see this kind of two-tiered players and winners in our space. It's those at the bottom, it's those at the top with the best service and the best features that are continually developing as we move forward in 2026. Rashab, CEO of Herman, also had this to say. Overall, I think this is right, though I suspect the way it gets cheaper is much more features / products by single company. And then he cites an example of someone who's doing that currently. Obviously, distribution is going to be huge. Brand, workflow lock-in. There's more here now to the winners in the space of software and what we do. More than just, hey, we built this, you can use it now. There's going to be a lot of people arguing, hey, oh, look, I recreated the thing for myself. Is it pressure tested though? That to me, I don't want my move from a player that I know, that I've worked with, that I've trusted. I don't want to move to something I've built for myself or something my friend did and have it actually be a risk to the business. To me, that's a lose at the end of the day. I don't want to take on that risk factor.
Yeah, that's the one thing we're kind of avoiding in this is none of these softwares are SOC 2 compliant, and there's a level of security that has to be attained if you want to go after true enterprise. I've had some conversations this past week where they were basically like, hey, you have to reach this level of security in order to even talk to our org. And so you can vibe code all you want for internal stuff, but I don't know about external. You really have to get through a lot of security stuff to even start to reach that level.
I thought Apple's rollout of their new creator studio was very interesting. To be honest, I have largely completely forgotten about Apple's creative capabilities and its tools like Final Cut Pro and that whole ecosystem. I didn't even remember it existed, simply because that old model of paying a lot for one thing all up front. Adobe rolled out its subscription model, continued to update. I just forgot this whole thing existed. Apple released its new fandangled creator studio yesterday for $12.99 per month. That is a price which is quite nice. And having a few creative tools in my hands and working with a few graphics and video editing myself, I didn't want to take the Switch, but the price made me think about it. I'll say that. I'm sure Apple can afford it, as their AirPods alone are a larger business than many of the largest companies in the world. But I think this is signal. I think it's signal to all of us. Maybe its Creator Studio is not as good as what Adobe's doing, but I'm going to pay $100 or I'm going to pay $75 per month with Adobe. With Apple, I can just pay what I'm already paying for Netflix. I think it's very interesting. Did that stand out to you at all?
I love it because it puts pressure on Adobe to make some changes either with pricing or features. And I don't want to poke fun at Adobe, but I think they've gotten a little bit complacent over the last couple of years where they're just like, yeah, this is what we got. Is there any changes? Not really. It's kind of the same thing. We've had it for the last 6 years, and we're just gonna keep having this. Is this cool with you guys? And you're like, no, I want new stuff. And they're like,
No.
we can't do that, but I'll see you on the next paying cycle. And then it's like, you want these companies to come in and kind of shake things up and really test the incumbents and say like, all right, the incumbents now have to make a decision. Are we going to start to compete with them on price or features? We got to do something or else we're going to lose a lot of business. I also love the Apple ecosystem. I'm so fine with going full in the Apple's ecosystem for my whole life.
You're going to do it. Are you going to do it? You're down.
I'm down.
Adobe's dead to you.
I don't know if they're dead to me, but it's a really easy first pass for beginners.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I think takeaways for me as we think about this, we built a tool. We have a tool, no longer the moat. There's going to be a lot of tools, and probably somebody is going to try and price it lower, as low as possible. Pricing power here forward in the space of what we do, probably going to largely depend on brand, platforms you're serving, a service layer, distribution. All of those things are going to come into play. And I don't think big SaaS is going anywhere. I really don't. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think there's going to be a myriad of tools that people are really excited about that we see debuted on our Twitter timelines. Hey, I did this. I think a few of those will probably make millions simply because of the viral factor. Probably be a lot of content rolled out around it. Hey, you can be a SaaS millionaire yourself now. Take your self-made app and make it for everybody. I think there'll be a lot of that, but the best in our game are going to continue to iterate. They'll only get more productive now that AI can do what it does for everybody. It can also do it for them. They're only going to get more productive, and the winners in our space, those who have already established themselves, will only continue to do so. That's my take. I don't think SaaS is going anywhere, but probably it does get a little cheaper for all of us, especially on the lower end.
For sure.
Dave Stickland, co-founder and president of Popsmith. He gave a lesson for us all. Dave's done a lot in D2C. Okay, Popsmith is not the only business and or future exit that he's had. He's had multiple exits. He put up this tweet yesterday, and I think that we should all take a look at this because his perspective here, most brands don't fail because their product is bad necessarily. It might be a great product. They fail because perhaps founders, merchandisers, marketers inside of that business are scared to sell something people actually want to show off, something at the higher end, something bougie, so to speak. Let's bring up this tweet here from Dave. Actually, there was somebody first that he quote tweeted. Bring up this first tweet here, Carson, from Kyle. Yeah, this is it. Crazy stat from Delta's 2025 campaign. Dave's tweet is coming here soon. The airline posted a $5 billion profit, doubling despite selling 1.1 billion less in economy tickets. Now, why did it do that? Because premium ticket sales made up the difference. Says everything about what the money is in travel right now. Next tweet. This was a very interesting on top of this. We're probably in one of the most bifurcated economies that exist. As a company, you have two choices. Become the biggest discount option of choice. That would be airlines like Spirit, Frontier, or add premium features and charge the highest price possible to the top 1%. They've got money to spend, right? Okay, here's Dave on top of this. And I think he's got a lesson for most of us in D2C. Take note, my fellow brand builders, if you are going to survive. Does anybody want to survive and thrive right now? I think I hear a chorus of amens somewhere on the interwebs. If you're going to survive, you better make bougie shite for the aristocrats, because you can't win the battle to be the cheapest. I say again, I emphasize. Yes, preach, Dave. You cannot win the battle to be the cheapest. I thought this really stood out because Popsmith, as an example, not solving a new problem. It's a popcorn maker, but it's a popcorn maker that you want to show off. You want to put that thing on Instagram. You want to bring it out at your dinner party. You want to show that off to the wife when we're having a family movie night. You want to bring that thing out and use that crank, and it's got wow factor to it. Colin, what's your impression as Dave gets into this brand building product creation lesson for all of us?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point he makes. I mean, another example would be like a Breville espresso maker. You always want to show off your Breville espresso maker because it's just so cool and it's a higher price point and it makes really good coffee. And so you have this kind of signaling factor that folks are doing where it's like, yeah, I can afford this kind of thing. I want to show you it. It's really cool. Look at all the cool features. I also think is that first slide going over Delta's numbers, all the airlines are up this year. That's reflective on consumer sentiment that they're valuing experiences and flights over some more, stagnant things instead. And so all of these things around travel, luxury, destination experiences, they are flourishing right now. You can see the travel economy absolutely going through the roof because people want experiences. So if you're able to cater around that with a kind of luxury upper tier themed product, you're going to make a lot of money.
That is a great point. And if the product that you are slinging across the interwebs can help me have an experience, Popsmith, as an example, it's going to take family movie night to the next level. Maybe I am courting, I'm married, but let's say I wasn't, and somebody's coming over, and I want to give her a special experience, impress her a little bit. Well, what do I want to do? I want to pull out that Popsmith. Okay. This isn't just a regular Netflix watching experience. I'm going to bring out that Popsmith and we're going to crank this thing together. And it's nostalgic, but it's also bringing something forward into the future. For this is something that reminds me of the past, but it's cool to talk about now. And I want to show it off. I think this experience angle is big. And the fact of the matter is, it just makes more sense mathematically for most of us for what we're doing. Ad costs are only going up. Okay. Perhaps some software prices are going down, but there are other constraints, tariffs, the cost of people, so many things on all of our businesses right here and right now. And so having something that you can add just a little more margin there, a little more mashugana, that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt. And if it gives me experience that I want to have again, I want to show my friends, then it creates that little word of mouth factor that I think we're all looking for. That's the magic at the end of the day. Do I have something that people are excited to talk about in and of themselves, and I don't have to spend more dollars on higher CPMs, etc.? Maybe we're too over-optimized on price generally in our industry, over-optimized on efficiency, under-optimized for desire, identity, signal. And I think the market's telling us something here. A lot of us have already known I need to make stuff for rich people. It's only becoming the more. They're really the ones who have the extra capital inside of their bank account to spend on experiences like this. So I think this was a great lesson from Delta and from Dave that we should all take away. We need this. And it also it imbues, I think it imbues that experience. It really imbues yourself into the heart of your customer and into your community. And is that crazy?
No, I love that. I love anything that's shareable and community based, which is kind of how you talked about a little bit with Popsmith, where you kind of do it together as a, a couple, or you're doing it together as a family. It's an activity. It's something to bring people closer together. If you can make an item or a product that's bringing people closer together off of screens, ideally, off of tablets, you're probably going to win in 2026.
I think it would be only right, because right now, if anybody's listening to this, what they're doing or what they should be doing is thinking about, yeah, but where is that also not true? Where is that also not true? Because there are outliers, and for sure there are brands that people love on the lower end of price. Maybe they're the exception rather than the rule in what we do. And these two examples that this next tweet brought up, I think is healthy to consider as a counterpoint. I love memes. Memes make millions, so they say. I really love this one. I can't remember who this is from, but it says, I trust these two MFs with our money more than any member of government. And who are they? It's the CEO of Arizona Tea and Costco, infamous for keeping their
Oh,
prices
yeah.
low, the same prices that they had in 1987 when I was born. 99-cent tea, $1.50 Costco hot dog with the additional soda. There's something emotionally powerful about brands that refuse to raise prices, even when they could. And so I think sometimes it's worth it to wonder, is consistency and nostalgia and long-term low price, is there a way to win hearts and minds that way? I think there is. I don't know that we all have the Arizona Tea and Costco built-in distribution and moat, though, to do that. What do you think of this, Colin?
For sure. I mean, there's another company just like Costco, Sam's Club, and one of their loss leaders is the rotisserie chicken. They don't make profit on the rotisserie chicken. It's just something to get you in the door. And by the way, it's at the very back of the store. So you have to
Yeah.
walk through the entire store, go to the back, and that sweet, sweet rotisserie chicken is cooked up back there, ready for you to take. They're not making any money off of it. If they can keep the price the same price, you're still going to grab it, but you're probably going to pick up a few things along the way. Oh, they got a new hoodie. Oh, they got this thing. Oh, now I'm going to get 3 gallons of yogurt. Oh, you know what I mean? Like you just add along as part of the experience. But I think it's a great thing to just pull people door with a loss leader if you can maintain that from a cash flow perspective. If you're absolutely backs up against the wall, do not have a loss leader. But if you have a little bit of cushion, if you got some capital to play with, maybe throw out a loss leader in there.
Hey, if you're a big dog of big dogs, then maybe having a loss leader not so bad. I do love that, and I think Costco is the same. I read recently, I think they lost $30 million on chicken, just chicken last year, but everybody loves that chicken. I mean, it is. I get it every week. I'm not even sure that I eat it every week, but I get it every week because it's got that built-in cultural love in me. I know I can get my kids a hot dog. I can go back and get that chicken. And because of that, I'm going to pick up everything else along the way. Not all of us can do that. But here's the takeaway: if you will just start your business 30 years ago or 40 years ago and incredible distribution and win hearts and minds, and if you'll just start in the late 1980s, then you can do that here today. I think that's the takeaway, right, Colin?
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Or just plan now. Just plan
Yeah.
for 2065. Let's start now.
There you go.
Make s-
Exactly. Yeah.
make sure that you can have an affordable loss leader that everyone loves.
Exactly.
In the vein of knowing your numbers and knowing what your business is, I'm moving forward to AMP here, Carson. In this vein, Don't we all want to scale with confidence this year? Don't we want to make that easy on ourselves? I think that we do. If you can't explain your business in one dashboard, how are we doing? How are we tracking? Where's forecast? Do I need to find some extra revenue hither and thither? If you can't explain how your business is doing in one dashboard, I'm not sure that you understand it. The great thing about AMP is that their platform allows you to do that with my favorite tool personally, Lifetimely, allows you to know what's our CAC today? What was it last week? What is our LTV? How are we tracking to forecast? If you're in the middle or at the bottom, somewhere in the totem pole of your organization, and boss man or boss lady wants to know, how are we doing? What's going on? The good news is you can use a tool like Lifetimely and you can tell them right away, right here, boss man, I know how we're doing. Not only does it make you look big brain smart, but it makes your boss think, wow, they've got this. If you don't know, and if you're unsure of scaling with confidence in 2026, you need to go to useamp.com. Not only do they have Lifetimely, they've got a whole suite of tools. You need to do yourself the favor, head there now, save yourself a headache, and make your boss feel really good about you. Go to useamp.com. And thanks for them being the sponsor of the show. It's 12:28. We have a very special guest that's coming our way, but he's not here yet, right, Producer Garson? I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
While we wait for him to come, I think we should hit one more story. And this is E.l.f. This is E.l.f. E.l.f. Beauty. I always see these campaigns about people doing interesting things on Roblox. I never know what to think about them. As a performance marketer, I typically think, wow, must be nice to have the budget to simply set on fire. But I think the question remains, though, they've done this several times. It must be working for them. If it wasn't working for them, they wouldn't be doing it continually. It's either genius brand planting to warm up Generation Alpha for E.l.f. Beauty, or maybe it's just PR bait. I'm not sure. Colin, what's your take?
Yeah, I don't have experience with E.l.f. Beauty specifically, but I will relate it to another activation that I know personally someone did, and I've actually played that game. So when Madden was launching pretty recently, they were having basically activations for your customizable character where you could add him in like an Under Armour or a Nike, and they were having kind of basic unlockables for your character to customize in there. I thought that was a great move. It was subtle. You can customize your character. The logo's always there. It's fun. I remember it still. It's a really nice kind of connection between me and the fun I'm having with that guy as he's going through college and football, all that stuff. So I remember that. I can't speak to Roblox because I've never played Roblox, and I'm not in that generation where I think I'll ever play it. But I do love kind of this subtle little marketing. It's very casual. You can customize some of your characters with that you're playing with, and it kind of embeds themselves within your psyche of like, oh, I recognize this brand. This is a fun brand to be around.
I neither am in the Roblox generation, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that's a shock to everyone. Neither are my children as of yet. They're not in the Roblox generation. Apparently some platforms are for seeding, not for getting conversions now, obviously. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing this. But hey, hats off to them. I hope we all have marketing budgets like this to spend, and we can all do something fun on Roblox in the future. Now, we have a member of the media buying Mount Rushmore who is joining the show right now, giving us all the details on what is happening inside of Meta's cost per landing page view kerfuffle. It is the one and only David Herman. David, get in here. Get on this show, David.
Hello, how are you? I should have my hair like this after yesterday, but
that's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah,
David, I'm not sure that the D2C community at large would have known what is going on inside of their Meta ad manager without you being so active on the feed over the past few days. Bring us into it. Tell us what's going on, how you discovered it, and what's happened.
Yeah. Well, I noticed the issue last week. A few people had pinged me on it, and then from there I kind of dug in deeper. And there was a Meta outage. I think it was like the 7th of last week that they did say something about an issue. They didn't say what, but it was a delivery issue. So I expected that it was mostly related to that. But the issue kind of persisted despite Meta saying, "Hey, we fixed the issue," and I was like, "No, they didn't." And so from there, we just kind of monitored over the weekend and noticed that performance continued to kind of get bad for a few brands that I manage where I spend quite a bit of money. And Monday was sort of the catalyst of like our cost per landing page views is in some instances was jumping over to $30 or $40. And our conversion rate was pretty much falling off a cliff. In some instances, we were down to about a 0.3, 0.4% for Meta conversion rates. So Monday, I pulled the bat signal and pinged a few people at Meta and said, "Hey, before I really go crazy on this one, just want to let you know this is happening. Can you guys check it out?" And they pinged me back. I'm like, "Yeah, we're starting to notice this. We'll let you know." And then a couple hours later, I got a ping that, all right, other people are noticing it, and now it's getting, started to take off. So stayed on them throughout all of Monday. And then yesterday was sort of the fever pitch for a number of brands that I work with where our CPAs were up 40 to 60% week over week. And got the word that they, I guess, fixed the issue last night. So this is not an iOS 26 issue. This was, I know I saw a few people saying that was the end of Meta, right? That they are, screwing things up. And no, it was nothing to do with iOS. It was simply an issue on Meta. The engineers went back to work. Let's just say it that way.
Well, happy to hear that. I think the frustrating thing for me that I've experienced myself, I'm sure other founders and marketers are experiencing, is that so much of our industry, it hinges on this black box that we have only so much control over. And I know, let's say you're founder running your own account, or let's say you're a media buyer inside of an agency, you're working with brands, they're coming to you like, "Hey, WTF, what's going on?" It feels like such a cheap excuse and not a good excuse to just say, Meta's kind of like wigging out right now.
Right.
What do people do that don't have the kind of access that you have? What can we do? Is there anything that we can do?
Honestly, I've always just said, if you want, follow me, because I try to be, I was there, right? I didn't have support for a long time, and I knew how frustrating it was. So I always try to be very open online. And Meta's acknowledged that I'm one of the few that tries to be transparent, and even a lot of the engineers at Meta follow me, and they hear about the issue on X before they hear about the issue on Sterling. And so I would say that's probably your best bet, is just to follow me and a couple others that are trying to be as open about it as possible. I'm not I'm an action guy where I'm not necessarily growing a personal brand online. I'm in the day-to-day here, right? And so I try to just be very transparent about what I'm seeing in the ad accounts and the bugs specifically.
David, it seems like you are like, maybe you have a raw hatred for Meta that I've seen from the past couple of months. Is there anything that you're pumped about what they did? And you can be transparent here, dude.
Like, contrary to popular belief, I don't hate Meta. I've been advertising on Meta since 2010, 2011.
Wow.
Back in the day when it was very, very, very basic, and there was a very small group of us doing this. And it's a massive company, right? And there's a lot of issues with it being what it is. I will say that my support that I have is far and away the best I could ask for. They're very transparent with me. They're very open with me, and I really do appreciate it. I so yeah, I don't hate Meta. I think that Meta is gone through such a drastic shift with all things AI that we are kind of guinea pigs to the chaos that all this happens, right? And I fully expect it just to always continue that way. That's just sort of Meta's prerogative at this point, is like, hey, move fast, break things. And they've kind of always been that way. But I do think that specifically from what I've heard and what I've been told, as well as what I've said to them, is like, hey, like, you guys have the biggest share of wallet. You need to at some point make that and understand that so many businesses are relying on you guys and Shopify to work. And so I think they are starting to really get the picture of this, that it's not just, if something breaks, that it is a massive impact. And there are people internally at Meta that are really trying to push, for positive things. So that's all I really can tell you, but I don't hate Meta. Yeah.
And we owe so much to Meta. We owe so much.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us owe our careers to
exactly.
Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, I'm 40, so I'm dating myself. I mean, I remember when Facebook came on our college campus and how big of a deal it was, right? So for me, it's my entire adult life has been Meta. And it's like I've grown up with it. I've grown up with the ad platform, and almost every other paid social ad platform came as a result of Meta, right?
Exactly.
They all look big. So Meta is the big machine here, and rightfully so. They're going to have issues, but I think it has been a lot more stable as of late. And if you are really deep in understanding kind of like what the model they built with the Andromedas and the Gems of this world, and really get how creative flows in these platforms, it actually is becoming a lot easier.
Wow.
Outside of conventional economic issues and things like that are at play, I do believe that there's a lot that they've done, a lot of education they've done, and the tools that people just don't happen to look either, right? Like I have a chat bot that I literally built in Gemini that I ask an engineer at Meta questions based on all their internal marketing docs that they release.
Love it.
Andromeda and Gem, I literally submit creative to my own bot, and I ask it, does this follow the trend of what it needs? Is this identifiable based on the frameworks you've built? It's like, yes, right?
Wow.
Anybody can build that. It's all sitting there. And it's just people don't, I think, realize that is Meta doesn't hide anything. They've never hidden anything of these things. So I think that at the end of the day, it's just a lot deeper education people have to go and unthink what they have done on Meta for the past 10 plus years. It's just a different platform now.
Wow. So, educate thyself, dear marketer.
Educate.
That is so compelling. let me just bring this up, David. There are many on our timelines. I think Corey Dobbin is a great example of pushing in this direction. His take is, guys, you got to diversify. Meta's going to have problems. Even though it's the best among us, it's going to have problems. You got to differentiate. Are there any other platforms as you buy media and help the brands that you're helping? Are there any other platforms where you've seen real success, where you're hopeful that D2C brands have a real future in profitable acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, AppLovin for us has been continuously one of the top bright spots, especially in 2024 and 2025. It's been the one area that we've been able to spend to the levels of what Meta spends, which is very rare, right? Like, you have things like TikTok and Snapchat and Pinterest and all these other platforms. They don't have quite that scale. But for us, it's been AppLovin that's come apples to apples with Meta in terms of spend levels and performance. Outside that, we do spend a lot of money on things like Pinterest. Pinterest has been a great awareness channel for us. And then YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is probably the one that no one really talks about because they're always so focused on in-feed. But if you are, running reels and you're pretty successful at it, there's no question you should be running YouTube Shorts. So those are kind of the main ones that I would have people really put their focus on outside of the diversification on Meta. But at the end of the day, it's like, the biggest share of wallet's going to be Meta, and most people are going to get too worked up by moving all these other platforms and then trying to make it work the exact same way that it works on Meta. And the reality is, even though AppLovin says, hey, the creative that works on Meta is going to work on AppLovin, that's not always the case. And you have to be very ingrained in like what the platform is, right? So for AppLovin, it's Words with Friends, it's Clash of Clans, it's all these games. And you have to be thinking about, well, does my creative make sense if they're going to get interrupted during their game, to see this ad, or they're going to get really annoyed by it, right? Versus, Meta, you can kind of get away with anything because it's not going to spend in certain ways. So at the end of the day, just educate yourself on these ad platforms all together and do your research before you just jump in, and make sure it makes a lot of sense for you. Pinterest is the biggest one because it's not a performance channel, right? It's an awareness channel. They have performance metrics, but you're not going to see the success of that over a same time period that you would on Meta.
Wow. Sauce.
There you go.
David,
yeah, for a Wednesday. For a Wednesday.
Yeah. David, are there, shifting gears a little bit here, are there any categories specifically in the product space that you're super fired up about on Meta specifically? So if you're like, hey, this product category I think is going to absolutely be a crusher on Meta moving forward and into the rest of 2026?
Yeah. Honestly, I always like to say the riches are in the niches, and especially when it comes to AI, the better you can be at any product that serves a niche has been really successful. And what I mean by that is the creative becomes a lot easier to do when you're in niches and being really good and thoughtful about, hey, calling out the specific niche in your creative. Meta's going to identify who that person is pretty quickly. Now, I'm not saying find a niche that's very small, find niches that are still quite big, but that's been an area that I'm seeing very successful. And then outside that, I see a lot of movement within, everything from problem solving type products are always going to be the easiest. Gifting is always going to be the hardest because you do serve a specific timeline in the year. So you're always going to be kind of tearing your hair out trying to find what works and doesn't outside of the Q4 season. So I would say problem solution and more niche products are going to be the winners as we've seen.
David, we know that you are a busy man and there's many things for you to accomplish today. Before you go, give us 30 seconds on your thoughts for ad buying in the future. We know AI is coming for us all.
Yeah.
And I think established craftsmen like yourself, we're always going to have work to do. But what about people who are 25 and under? What about people who are just starting in paid media? Do we have a future?
Yeah, no, I'm on the side of artificial intelligence is going to take up 70% of our job and help us just become a lot deeper and focused in areas that we want to be. So whatever that is for your specific passion. In the old days, it would take me forever to creative strategize a brand. But now with AI, I'm able to get that 70% of the work done. And from there, I'm able to really get deep into where I am the best at, right? Which is creatively thinking about the strategy here and kind of going that direction. So for me, I still think AI is not going to take all of our jobs. I think if you're a media buyer that literally just uploads creative and places ads, that's kind of been replaced. But if you can think strategically about how does this play into the whole overarching sort of area of e-commerce when it comes to either, hey, omni-channel to incrementality to brand spend to creative spend. There's so many areas of this that you can just fall into that sort of that niche. So I would say for people that are younger that are trying to get into this, be so well-rounded that you kind of know everything. I was fortunate enough to I interned in television commercials in the late 90s, early 2000s before digital took off, right? So I had experience in in TV commercials and TV strategy and TV placement, to then I worked in the magazine world where I was placing magazine placements and doing all insertion orders and that. So I've had a very extensive background in old school, new school, and then kind of playing into this future with AI. So I've had that experience, and I know a lot of people haven't, but becoming better prompt engineer at AI is also it's going to be so critical. And the more you can kind of think for yourself and allow yourself to think strategically of how and what you want AI to teach you is really going to be, I think, a hack for people, because a lot of people are just going to do the very bare minimum. And then they're also going to not learn how to kind of learn for themselves. And I think that's going to be a big thing, is like, don't just become so AI driven that you don't ever think. Like, be willing to like challenge it and think deeper about it and use it as a branching off point, not the here all end all.
Incredible. David, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for being so locked in on what's happening in those accounts. Everyone go follow Herman Digital on Twitter, and we appreciate you coming.
Yep.
I'm blown away. He's blown away. He's the man. He's the man. Big takeaways for me. The guy has uploaded Meta's documents that they make available. He's chatting with that thing. Hey, based on this creative, what do you think? Am I going to win here? That was huge for me. Even David Herrmann on the Mount Rushmore of paid media, even he himself is checking and using AI, educating himself to create winners for his clients. That was compelling. What was takeaway for you, Colin?
That's huge, because when you think about it, you're like, oh, duh, obviously I should just do it, whatever the public changes are that Meta's announcing. But nobody thinks like that when they make creative. So if you run through a filtering system, like we talk about a lot on this show, like a guardrails filtering system and kind of that, and you have this thing to basically hammer up your creative against, and you're like, hey, this new feature that just got released by Meta, 20 days ago, how is this aligned with that? And if it says you're spot on, you're super aligned with it, amazing. I'm going to make all my creative around that. But if it's like, hey man, you're totally missing the mark here, this is the complete opposite of what Meta wants to do, you're probably going to end up spending more money to get less results.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm glad. I think following him on Twitter, and I mean, he was dropping sauce all over us. Pinterest, I would never personally. I'm admitting my own fault here. I would never think about driving awareness on Pinterest. Let's talk about YouTube Shorts. Very compelling, and it seems there's still hope for the younger marketers among us who are just getting started in their paid media buying careers. If you're just simply uploading things, clicking buttons, if you're simply executing, that's a problem. But David's advice for becoming a well-rounded profit engineer, one might say, who indexes largely into paid media or the creation of ad creative, he thinks there's still a realm for that to exist in the future, that's exciting for me. That's exciting for me and for everyone in our industry, I think, particularly because we don't want the robots to do everything, do we? I mean, unless we're all going to be on fat UBI checks, which maybe we are in the future, it gives me hope for paid media and the people among us who are working these jobs. Any other thoughts before we move on, Colin? That was compelling.
I love that. I also love the percentage breakdown where he's basically said 70% of your job is going to be AI, and then you're going to be about 30% supporting it. I think that's a great way to look at it. Like, this is your little assistant. It could be a coworker. It could be a helper that is kind of, you're playing ping pong with it. It's, all right, I'm going to give you a piece of data. You give me a piece of data back. All right, I'm going to give you another updated piece of data. You serve another piece of data back to me. And this allows you to do your job better, but let it take care of these, mind-numbing, painful tasks that are eating up a ton of your bandwidth to take away from all those creative, fun tasks that you'd be doing instead. The other 30% that you really should be doing and want to be doing.
That's been a huge takeaway for me as we talk and walk through the news every day. We bring these experts on, hear from them. What they're doing is that we've got to become excellent in judgment and taste. Execution is going to be relegated to our robots. It's going to be relegated to our agents and perhaps physical labor to robots in the future. Who knows? But maybe a day far down the road. And one of the great things about David is focus. I'm moving to Postscript now, Carson. A wonderful thing about Postscript is focus. Focus is an amazing thing. They are the only SMS platform that exists. Who will tell you our goal is to make SMS your #1 revenue channel? I was shocked when they told me that. Alex Beller, co-founder, president at Postscript, told me this himself. Chris, our goal is to make SMS #1 for you. Are you serious? Are you sure? You really want to take on that dare? You want to try that? That's a tall task. That's a big order. Well, they're the only ones who are willing to do that, and they can. Why? Because they only obsess over one thing every day and in every way. I know you can do SMS on other platforms. Well, this will do that, and it does 3 or 4 other things too, and I'll just go ahead and use that because I'm already using it. Don't do that, my friends. Don't do that. In 2026, all of our revenue needs to go up. We got to find profit hither and thither every way that we can. You should go to postscript.io/SMS-benchmarks, scrolling right here across the screen right now. You go there and you're going to figure out what's normal for a brand like mine in my category at my revenue strata. What should I be doing on SMS? If you're below the mark, or even if you're at the mark, you should talk to Postscript because they are the trusted partners for me personally, of course, for the show too, that can take it up. They did it for me. We went from doing very little on SMS, previous business I was working in, transitioning to Postscript and becoming a top 1% account on their entire platform in a year's time. Incredible. If you're looking for more dollars in 2026, you go to Postscript, talk to them, tell them that Chris and Colin sent you. Make it a year full of dollars in your wallet. Bank account's a scoreboard at the end of the day. Thank you to our sponsors at Postscript. Colin, we're nearing the end of our blessed hour together. I wonder, we've got a couple more stories in here. There's a couple of great ones in here. I think we should. You think we got time?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Number one. Sometimes in marketing, it's worth it to pick a side. It's worth it to ruffle a few feathers and offend a little bit. If everyone likes your brand, then no one loves it. Is that fair? Am I too much? Everyone likes you. Probably
Sure,
nobody loves you. There's a great story that came out today from Adweek that was portraying what Equinox and Miller Lite are doing, contrasting, so to speak. Virtue signaling around AI. We've looked at some of what Equinox has done. Maybe not so much a fan there right now. I think what Miller Lite is doing by positioning itself in a gentle way. Remember, these are giant brands, but in a gentle way, even without mentioning AI, Miller Lite is positioning itself as, hey, get together with real people, talk and meet inside a real bar, share a cold beer with real friends, meet somebody, make a friend, be nice. I think there's real wisdom to that. I think there's real wisdom to that. I don't know that it goes so far as to make a dramatically positive effect. I think the bigger you are, it's harder to lean in to real against the grain marketing that causes a reaction and offends a few people, helps others love you. Colin, do you think there's wisdom on this side of leaning into taking a side and ruffling a few feathers?
Yeah, I think if you lean towards the human aspect of things, a lot of folks have predicted that basically in-person and human interaction is going to be the new luxury moving forward in 2026. And so if you can kind of shift your brand around that storytelling, then you're subtly shifting that this is that luxury experience that we're talking about, in person, human to human, talking to a person. The worst thing you ever experience is when you're trying to go and help from somebody or a brand or something like that, and you just get and sit on the help desk for 3 hours, and it's just a bot that has 5 responses. That that's all he can say. It's like, do you want to update your credit card? And you're like, no, this isn't my problem at all. Like, give me a person that can, like, I don't know, that has feelings and has dreams and goals. Like, this whole like idea around this is super important. And I think that as AI becomes more available, the cost for AI slammed down to almost nothing. Luxury is going to be human. It's going to be in person. It's going to be feeling. It's going to be emotions. It's going to be sharing that, beer with a friend. It's going to be sharing that laugh with a friend in person. So I'm really glad about this, and I hope this is a pivot away from the AI slop that we saw from Equinox earlier.
I think that I think there's a lot of value to leaning into the humanity of your brand. And I think that's what we want. Of course, we want our leaders politically to feel like people that we could share a beer with, somebody we'd like to be around. I think we also want to feel that for the brands that we buy and associate ourselves with. So the question is do you have a tangible character around your brand that people can either love or hate? Do you? I don't know. Sometimes the bigger you get, the more sameness you kind of need to lean back into, because you've got such a diverse customer set. But this is where I think being small, being an up and coming nitty gritty D2C brand is really an advantage. I think a great example of this, a controversial one, but a great example of this is the VanMan, the man with a van. He makes animal-based ancestral products, skincare. He's taking on big toothpaste. He's got a not just a thesis, but a message. He's got a mission. And there's a segment of society that truly, deeply identifies with this. Big pharma's out to get me. Big food's out to get me. They're poisoning us. Those kind of strong messages and leaning into that, what they've done over time is they've allowed people to find him and build a cult following around this product and this character, so to speak. I think what's interesting is that he's done something unique. This isn't new news, but I think it's demonstrative of just a compelling opportunity that one can take if you are small and dynamic and not giant yet. Is he's taken this one step further and not just made these kind of natural products. He's even made a restaurant. Colin, if you could, Carson, if you can find this restaurant, it's incredible to me. The VanMan Kitchen. So he's making tallow products that are healthy for us. They're natural. He's saying they're so good that you can cook food in them like we used to, and they're great. And so he has made the VanMan Kitchen, and brother, they're serving up burgers and fries that are fried inside of tallow instead of vegetable oil. Of course, our friend Dean at Heart and Soil, I'm sure he knows about all of this, but this to me is wild. I would never think about doing this, but he's leaning in to the message. And I would say there is for sure an offensive for some and endearing for others character around this brand. There's a persona that forms a tribe around this product and the mission. So I think there's a lot of wisdom here. Maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you've got a cup of tea, and there could be a cup of tea for your brand and for your product and what you're doing. To me, this gives small players an advantage. It's something that they can lean into, and if you develop a cult following, that LTV just goes up and to the right, which is what we all want, right?
Absolutely. I love the fact that he opened up this restaurant. I went through the menu and he said, I love that he was like, well, look, we're going to try to keep these prices for as long as we physically can. Like, the prices on there are really affordable. It's really, really awesome what he's doing. I wish he had one here in Charlotte. I would go to it immediately. But this is cool because it's the in-person extension that we always talk about. Mind you, the restaurant business is one of the most brutal. It is one of
Tough.
the hardest businesses in the entire world.
Yeah.
It has a 90% fail rate. If you want to absolutely just go to business on hard mode, open a restaurant.
Yeah.
So you know, more power to him. I selfishly would love to see him win and expand out and make a ton of these. But the restaurant business is super hard, and I hope he absolutely crushes it.
I hope he crushes. I think it's so unique. I love the affrontedness of the whole thing. I don't know that I would think of this to start a restaurant as an advertising vehicle for his direct to consumer product, but wow, what an endeavor. And hey, I wish I was in San Diego and we could swing by and grab a nice juicy burger and fries for lunch.
For sure.
Last story of the day, and let's just bring this one up, Carson, as we talk through this. This is from Canva. I'm talking about the visual trends of 2026. Imperfect by design. Very interesting. The future doesn't look more perfect, perhaps. It looks more human. This is some of their call outs that I just thought were so interesting. I really just wanted to walk through them and take a look at them. Scroll down here, Carson, and show us some of these. They've got what I would call themes. Yeah, keep going. Number one is reality warp. Okay.
Nice.
Very, very striking. Okay. Imperfect for sure. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the next one here? Prompt playground. Okay. Let's go to explore core. I mean, very interesting. It's definitely not millennial core, gray and white, perfect backgrounds, etc.
Oh, love this.
Texture check. I like texture check. To me, I love this one. I really do. And next one is Notes app chic. I don't know where they came up with these names, but great name. Great
Nice.
name. Notes app chic. It's got a kind of a messiness about it.
Yeah.
There's humanity to it. When I look at a lot of these, it makes me think of Gen Z, really. But let's go down one more. Opt-out era, and then the drama club.
Nice.
Drama club is cool. This one to me is very cool. And then we'll stop here at this last one, Granny Wave. I don't know what to say about Granny Wave, but just give me some impressions here before we go, Colin.
For sure. Yeah. If you jump up to the first one and you look back to Minted Clothing, which is a really great brand that does basically runner's clothing, the reality warp that this is portraying here, they put that through a lot of their newer pieces. And Marcus over there is an absolute crusher with all the things that are up to date, all of the newest trends. And the way he's taking that brand is going to be incredible. But they actually did something extremely similar to Reality Warp for the gloves that they designed and some of the jackets they designed. So this is already seeping its way into brands and honestly some of the trendiest brands. So this isn't like your uncool brands. These are the brands that you want to follow and brands that you want to grab some stuff from.
I always love to hear Oren John's take on things like this. I don't know what to say about these designs. I just know what I like and what I don't, and I'm a particular kind of person, 39-year-old dad who lives in the hill country of Central Texas. Vibes, so I've got my vibe, but not everybody's got my vibe. There's a lot of people out there. And to me, at least very interesting. And maybe want to try some of these on, see if it's a fit for brand and graphics here in 2026. As we wrap here, I want to say thank you to our partners Postscript and AMP for making this show possible. Thanks to David Herman. What a top G. That guy, he's incredible, man.
The best.
And I know he's operating and doing his thing, but what he does on X and how close he is to the ball, having his finger on the pulse, it serves all of us. I'm not even sure if we would know. Would we all know if Meta was having an issue without him and Rock and some others? Great show. Good day. And thanks to everyone for joining us. The good news is we're going to be here tomorrow. And Colin is going to be here. Our good friend Cody Whittick is going to be here. And Dean Brennan of
Let's
Heart
go.
and Soil will be with us as well. So jam-packed show tomorrow. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks for joining us.